Hi there, and welcome to NUGGET 2023. I'm Wadhwani, Manager for Security and Compliance at Netreo. And with me, I have the gentleman, Mr. John April, who's Vice President for Security and Cloud Operations at Netreo. John will be talking about the security, compliance, cloud operations, and every other aspects of the security at Netreo. So over to you, John.
Great. Thank you for the warm introduction, Harsh, and hello to everybody. It's my first Nugget. First Nugget speaking, and I'm excited about it. So thank you all for being here, and looking forward to talking about what we're doing here at Netreo around security. And so I guess I'll start with just kind of mentioning a reason why security is important at Netreo. We provide a software product. We have a software product that we deliver, and we have a SaaS, a software as a service platform in the cloud. So a vendor like us, it's very important to customers that, we take our security seriously, and we need to provide assurance to our customers around our security controls. So, we've developed here a program around security and compliance that we're pretty proud of. And we continue to evolve as time goes on. If you don't do this sort of thing, if you don't have security and compliance role in the business, customers would look at you as being too risky and probably look elsewhere. So generally, that's a good reason why security is important here at Netreo.
So, John, speaking about that, can you please tell the audience about how are we providing the security assurance to our customers? What are the things into it?
Sure. So, we have various aspects, right, of the business, and it's not just around the product, but it's also around the people, the processes, and the technology in the business. So we've developed a formalized governance, risk, and compliance program that serves as the foundation to meet our security and compliance objectives. The program monitors three key dimensions of cybersecurity. As I mentioned, people, process, and technology, with security, architecture, engineering, and operations. So our approach includes continuous technology and process improvements, continuous compliance, secure systems, a responsible workforce, resilient organization, and risk-informed decisions.
Awesome. So I came across a few words, what you said, and I would really want you to explain them to all of us about when you say continuous improvement, what do you mean by the continuous improvement in the security?
Yeah, so continuous improvement, I can't say enough about. It's one of those things that is in the heart and soul, I think, of any program, and it's a critical component of any program. And it's important to recognize and formally register continuous improvement opportunities in order to address them as time goes on. So, especially with security, it's one of those things where you're kind of never good enough. There's always more you can do and mature, and we're always looking for ways, and no matter what the process is, even if it's not around security, if it's becoming more efficient in some area, to make sure that we're being responsible with the money and whatnot, and then the delivery to the customer. So we look for opportunities for improvement any chance we get, and we actually do register them formally, so that way we can go back to them and improve our processes and security.
That's awesome. I heard about your governance, risk, and compliance program, and you said something like a continuous risk assessment. So I've came across people conducting risk assessment annually or maybe biannually and all those things. So what do you mean by a continuous risk assessment program?
Sure. I guess the word that keeps coming up is continuous, and I think that's one of the key things too. Is not just a one-time activity. It's just something that you need to build into your process, and what we've done with our risk assessment is, as you mentioned, there's a lot of times a risk assessment is performed on an annual basis, and it's kind of looked at, it's provided to auditors and whatnot, and what we've done is we like to to think that our risk assessment is not something that we pick up once a year and review and identify risk and then work on those risks. We keep that register alive, and we revisit it actually biweekly during our risk management office hours. And we look, anytime we find any kind of additional risk, we add it to the register and we start managing it to it. And so that's what I mean by, continuous risk assessment, is that we're continuously looking at that register, we're continuously adding to it, and we are working on items in there. Basically, that register, it only grows, right? There's nothing generally nothing comes off the register. I mean, you have a risk that goes into it. If it ends up being a high risk, you're treating it. Medium risk, you're treating it until it gets to a point where you've reached your risk acceptance criteria. In our case, we want nothing but low risk, but that item doesn't go off the risk register anymore. It stays on there because it's still an item, and it still has controls applied to it, and we still need to revisit and understand that we're managing to it. So it's a critical part of our business that we actually use as a guiding light of sorts to make sure that we're managing risk appropriately.
Awesome. Great to know about that. Well, when you say people, process, and technology, the three aspects in the security. So can you please tell every one of us how security is part of people, process, and technology at individual level?
Sure. So the people aspects, include things like having job descriptions and roles and responsibilities. Our hiring process, we do background checks. We make sure that we have a criminal background check, for example. We have confidentiality agreements that are signed by the employees. We have all employees accept our corporate and our security policies. They formally accept them. We have security awareness training that we provide to everyone. That's provided annually or during onboarding and annually. And then we have specialized training for our software developers, a secure code training, for example. We have our objectives around people include upskilling by training, education, and certifications. This includes our security champions that have additional training around secure coding, and they can help the rest of the development team and whatnot. So that's some examples around what the people aspects include. The process aspects, we have there's lots of processes in the business, of course, and I'll just name some of them, but I'll focus on the ones that have to do with how we're securing the business and our product. So we have this secure code development and quality assurance processes, change management process, which is super important for any organization. You need to control changes in your environments. And under change management, that includes the code peer reviews, right? Development happens and there's still a peer review of what that development was. The merges into the code repository, have multiple approvers, and we still need to have release approvers. So that's, some aspects around change management. We have their incident management, we have vendor management processes, our compliance management. Of course, I talked about the risk management, backup and recovery testing. These are all processes that, we have to revisit and test, occasionally to ensure everything's working correctly. Definitely vulnerability monitoring processes that go on, so we have our scanning of our code, we have scanning of our network, we have application testing through manual penetration testers, both in-house and third party, and then that, those are some of the examples around the processes, I guess. And then the technology. So those aspects include things like, having single sign-on with an identity provider. We've leveraged multi-factor authentication everywhere we can. We have endpoint security technology. This is for employee endpoints and cloud endpoints and resources. We have cloud security compliance technology. Basically, it's called the CNAP system, but it's where we our technology includes host vulnerability detection, web application firewall security, secure configuration compliance. There's different benchmarks that our cloud's measured against to make sure that we're aligning to best practices. We have behavioral anomaly detection, file integrity monitoring, automated cloud activity and user behavior anomaly monitoring. So it goes on and on and on, right? We have a static code analysis that reviews the code that we're delivering to the customer, and that basically, I'll just elaborate real quick on that. The static code analysis is a technology that reviews the code, the thousands of lines of code throughout the different products that we have, and it looks for patterns that could be identify insecure or security flaws. So that's an automation that helps us identify those. And then we have what's called dynamic code analysis, which is more automation that goes into, like, for example, it could log into a portal and start to do what users would do, but it looks for security problems in that as well. So this is just some more technology examples around the people, process, and technology.
Awesome. One thing is really common going around nowadays is the supply chain risk. I mean, with the vendors, a lot of risks are coming up. So would you like to talk about how do you manage the vendor security at Netreo, or about the vendor management program? That would be great.
Sure. Just like our customers are expecting to have security assurance with us, we have the same whenever we take on a new vendor. So we have a process, our vendor management, risk management process that before we actually even engage with a vendor, we're asking them questions around their security, and we're asking them for their compliance, like SOC 2 Type 2 reports and their ISO 27001 certifications, and things accreditations that help us analyze the risks that they may pose on us. And of course, the risk is different depending on the vendor. The vendor may be providing a service that doesn't pose a huge risk. Maybe it's somebody that comes in the lobby and they're selling tacos, right? That provides a different risk than somebody that's handling your data in the cloud, right? So we have different criteria that how we look at a vendor, and different questionnaire that might go out to them, or an evaluation process that will identify them, and methodology will identify them as being high, medium, or low risk, and we approve them before we take them on, and then review them annually.
Well, that's great. Just like you said that we need assurance from our vendors, and valued customers seek for the security assurance from us. Would you like to speak something around the customer security questionnaires, what you receive from the different customers, and how much it is on priority for you and all those things?
Yeah, so one of the things that is obviously, as we're selling to customers, the customers come to us with the same types of questions that I just mentioned that we ask of our vendors. And so one thing I haven't mentioned is that we go through a SOC 2 Type 2 audit annually, and it looks back at the previous 12 months as basically an observation period, right? And so what the SOC 2 Type 2 audit does for us is they come in, the auditors come in, and they test us against our own security policies. Basically, they want to make sure that we're doing what we say that we're doing. And so we're tested against that, and that is something that we do to help provide security assurance to our customers. And when we're getting questionnaires, generally, like when we get asked about if we have a SOC 2 Type 2 report, for example, that generally reduces the number of follow-up questions they have for us, because they're able to ingest the report itself, and they're able to get all of their answers through that, and also understand that it's going to cover basic criteria of confidentiality, integrity, availability, privacy, those kinds of things. And so what we've done to help us, with that, because if you're getting a lot of new customers and you're getting a lot of new questionnaires, those questionnaires could be anywhere from 100 questions to 300 questions and follow-up questions and evidence, and it's almost like an audit, right? And so that's why we get audited by a third party, so that way our customers don't have to in turn do the same thing to us. And so what we provided is what we call a security kit, and we give that upfront to our customers, so that they can already see what we have established, in terms of foundation of security. So it includes our SOC 2 Type 2 report already. It includes sort of a one-pager that highlights a number of things that we're doing around security, and then a more detailed security, in-depth security on the one-pager. And then we highlight the fact that we're Veracode verified. So I'm kind of revealing one of our technologies is we leverage Veracode to do our static code analysis and our dynamic code analysis. And they have programs that accreditations of sorts that where we're Veracode verified team status. And, that provides more assurance that, we're not carrying high or very high vulnerabilities in our code, and that we have a process to remediate, and that we're meeting a certain level of criteria from Veracode that gets us on this list that has a limited number of folks on it. And so those kinds of things, when it comes to how we address security, back to your question directly about what we're doing when customers come to us with questionnaires and whatnot, and how do we manage them, and having those things up front for the customer helps us manage the number of questions that our team has to facilitate generally.
Well, that's awesome. And being a product company, I mean, I know you have been receiving a lot of security researchers coming up to you and reporting some kind of bugs, requesting for some kind of bounties, or maybe a Hall of Fame or anything like that. So why don't you tell us about the bug bounty program at Netreo, and how's the team managing that?
Yeah, so we stood up a bug bounty program. Oh, gosh, maybe it was just a little over a year ago. It's been a couple of years now. I think this is the third year that we're going into it. Time flies, right? But yeah, we came up with a vulnerability disclosure policy. It's on our website. It provides guidance about the scope of what we're quote unquote allowing folks to go out and observe. And we obviously don't want to be. We're not telling people to DDoS us, distributed denial of service, and things like that. But we're asking about, if there's any flaws that they want to tell us about, and we provide a means for them to tell us. Our bug bounty program, is still in its first phase, I would call it, where we're not necessarily providing monetary rewards, but we have folks go on a Hall of Fame board, and we're trying to manage the best we can with that right now. And we've gotten a lot of feedback that a lot of it's the same, could be the same duplicate items that come in, but we definitely manage to them and we respond to them. And we have a number of folks that are on the board today. So we're really happy to be able to provide that, and we are very appreciative to anybody that wants to take the time to take a look at us.
Well, awesome. I have two more questions to you, John, and I know our audience would also like to listen to them. One thing, how do you make sure that the security is in line with the industry best practices? I mean, do you or are you having the policies in line with standards like ISO 27001 or NIST or something like that?
Yeah, we kind of definitely do a little of all of that. Excuse me. We have a number of benchmarks that we work to align to, or we take a little bit from different benchmarks. And that's in the cloud, on our systems, in the product. And most recently, we've been taking on the Department of Defense STIG standards and configuration guidance, and applying that to systems wherever that they can be applied, and various and that. So that's when it comes to like configurations and whatnot, security configurations, and certainly with our policies and the way we run our GRC program. We're aligning the best we can with ISO 27001. Currently, right now, we do not have that certificate, but we're aligning ourselves with those processes because we're familiar with how they are, and so that way, once we decide that we're going to actually go for that certification, we'll be 90% there, right? We're already going to be. It'll make it an easier transition, if you will, because we're already doing things that walking the walk, so to speak. So other than that, generally keeping up with the different trends, getting educated, attending conferences, staying up with the security communities and being involved in those meetings and just continuously become, getting more educated. So you really just have to keep doing that in order to stay relevant, and that's what we do.
That's awesome. And one more question, I think, which will interest everyone here. So that's something about what's the future of security at Netreo. By that, I mean to say, I know you are continuously improving every time with the security, and you love the word continuous. So is there anything you would like to tell the audience about the future of security here at Netreo? If you have anything in your mind you would like to tell, please let us know.
Well, the future is always improving, I guess, is how you mention it. We're constantly working to hone the knife, so to speak. Looking for ways to improve. If a certain accreditation is appropriate, we will go for that. I know that perhaps at some point FedRAMP might be in our sites, things like that. Otherwise, we're just going to continue to evolve our programs and processes, and gain more accreditations to help mature, not only the business but the security and compliance, and provide the best assurance we can for our customers.
Awesome. So I think we got to know a lot about security today from you. Would you like to give any final notes, any closing notes over it?
I guess, the one closing note is, if anybody ever has a question, to me or about our security or anything that they want to, collaborate on, I'm certainly free and happy to get on a phone call and talk about any concerns or any even security features that you might want to see in the product. I'm not necessarily responsible for the product, but I'm very close to those folks. And definitely when it comes to security, I'm interested. And so, feel free to reach out anytime.
I know. And we are going to be part of the live chat when the session is going to be. So we would be happy to have more questions from the audience with respect to security, and everything or anything you want to ask about security. You can reach out to John April, our Vice President for Security and Cloud Operations. Well, thank you, John. Thank you so much for this amazing session and informative session to us and to all of us. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Harsh, and thank you, everybody, and we'll talk to you soon.